So if you want to achieve great things as a man, if you want to be successful, if you want to be the leader to your family, if you want to know the direction that you're going, you cannot do that unless you have the basics and the fundamentals in place. So in this video, we're going to look at what those basic fundamentals are. What are the basic routines and the habits that we need to have in play if we're going to grow and build a life mission that can be consistent? We're going to look at what it takes to be consistent. We're also going to look at how we can go on to build bigger and better things off the back of these foundations that we're going to put into place. If you look at anybody that's high up in a business, so if you look at a CEO or a business owner and you think that at the very top of their game, in order to be able to run that business well, they've got to know the ins and outs of the business. They've got to know how it runs operationally from a basic level. And that's the same with you and your life. So you start at the very bottom here and we're trying to get our lives up here. And there are a series of stairs that we have to go up in order to achieve that level of conditioning. Just like if you were lifting a heavier weight or getting to the top of that business, you have to go through the ladder. You have to go through the different weights to get stronger and stronger and stronger. And you have to go through the different phases of progression to get to the very top of your game. And that starts at the very bottom with the foundations. As if you look at a CEO, the foundations that they built is through the ladder that they've climbed. If you look at really strong men, it's through the foundations of the growth and the weight training that they've done. If you look at any successful guy operating at a high level, it's because they've done all the foundation and groundwork to get them there. So I learned this the hard way when I started my business in 2013, and for 2 to 3 years I was operating in a business that was growing rapidly but not managing myself, and I didn't have the basics and I didn't have the non-negotiables in place to sustain that level of work and that level of success. For the early stages of me running that business, I was operating in a chaotic state. I wasn't able to be consistent because I had nothing to come back down to, no basic levels of standards. I would just try to be really optimistic about moving forwards, about building a life mission, about building a business. Something would happen and then I'd come crashing back down. I wasn't putting anything into place that managed me, managed my emotions, managed my future, and helped me be consistent. There was nothing to really catch my fall when it did fall down, which is why I implemented these 3 key basics and fundamentals to be able to put into place to allow me to have the non-negotiables, the basics in place to always fall back on. So that's why I introduced 3 key non-negotiables to build myself up, to have more control of myself and to be held accountable. So the first thing that I implemented was a morning routine, and I heard lots of different people talking about one, but I never understood the benefit of having one in place. And you don't have to get up at 4:15 every single morning like I do. You just have to get up an hour earlier than you normally would to spend some time on yourself. So we needed structure within the morning routine. I needed to know where my time, my energy and my focus was going to go in that morning routine. So we created 4 pillars. And the first one was activity. So doing some form of activity, getting out, going for a walk, doing your workout, doing yoga, whatever it might be, get the body going. The second was mindset. So positive affirmations, positive narratives, maybe listening to something that was of a positive nature. It could have been meditation, but something that puts a positive narrative inside of your mindset. The third one was clarity. So clarity on where you're going, clarity on where your time, energy and focus is being spent, clarity on what the day held for you. What were your outcomes? What was your mission? It was having something to work towards throughout the day. And then the last one was gratitude, learning to be grateful about the things that we've got, focusing on the things that we possess rather than on the things that we lack. So the second non-negotiable was built around being more organized, knowing where your time, your energy and your focus is going, which for me are 3 of the biggest assets that you own in your life. So how we prepared ourselves for the day. So how I took my routine from one of chaos to one of being organized was to make sure that I knew what my top 3 things were I was going to achieve personally and professionally. So there were outcomes. So it become almost this micro daily mission that I needed to achieve. And as I progressed, those targets, those missions became part of a bigger plan. So down the line, when I create a 28-day, 12-week, 6-month, 12-month plan, a lot of the things that I used to plan on a daily basis were about achieving those bigger goals. But at the very basic level, it was just about understanding how I was going to own my day and not lose it through overthinking, through cuffing, through being overwhelmed. There was a clear mission at the beginning of each day. And the third and final one is one that the majority of men do not have in their lives at the minute. And it's something we've had in the majority of our lives, but as we've got older, we've lost it. Did you manage to guess it? Well, the third one is accountability. Something that majority of men do not have. And if we do not have accountability, we take the easy road. You can find accountability in two different ways. Number one, you can be part of a group and have a mentor and have a system that you're a part of, like what we run. Or you can do your accountability by yourself, which is what I did when I very first started. At the end of each day, I would simply write down how I got on with the top 3 things that was due to achieve personally and professionally, and check in with myself. The whole point of accountability is about reflecting on the man in the mirror. If you keep lying to yourself, you are never going to progress. You are never going to achieve the bigger things that you want to in your life. And you have to confront that truth with your accountability. So if you didn't do something, why didn't you do it? Learn from it, progress on it, and build on it. So how do you stay consistent with these basics? Well, whenever we get anyone to start with us in our programs, it's all about managing your expectations. You are where you are right now, and you can only be as good as the level of conditioning that you're at. I can't expect you to bench press 100 kilograms if you've never bench pressed 100 kilograms. So you have to understand that you're at the very basic level. And we've got to be able to continuously build that morning routine, plan your day, and be accountable for over 90 days. And that means having the discipline not to try and worry about your 1-year plans or your 3-year missions or 5-year missions. It's not worrying about the bigger things that are going on. It's not worrying about where you're going to be. It's about the immediate moment and building the skill set for where you are right now. The consistency comes from dropping the ego, building the mindset, and having the right attitude for the direction that you want to go. So if I asked you to run 30 miles every day for 30 days, you just couldn't do it. But if I asked you to run 2 miles every day for 30 days, you could, because you're more conditioned to probably run those 2 miles. That's the same with these basics. These basics are your 2 miles. You're doing for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 6 months. You're going to have the basic standards, the basic level of showing up to achieve the bigger things that you want in your life. And that really is when life starts getting exciting, when you can start building the 1, 3, 5-year missions, because you've built the foundations to be able to grow that life, to be able to grow that vision, that purpose, and have that direction. So ultimately what we're trying to achieve for men is for them to be able to build a life mission, be able to build purpose, create direction, embrace life so much more for an outstanding life. And there has to be foundations to that mission in itself. So when we bring men through over our 90-day program, we are teaching them these basics, these fundamentals. Do not get ahead of yourself, because it just causes emotional pain of thinking that you're failing, thinking you're not doing good enough, putting too much pressure on yourself. Building those non-negotiables, those basics alone, without building the biggest, sexier stuff, is going to change the way that you operate. Because ultimately what we're doing is mastering the way that you think, feel, and act with the decisions that you make. And when you nail those foundations, man, it sets you up for a long, successful life of self-development and growth. Follow up this video, you can watch this video here, which talks about powerful mental health habits that we can get into, and my top 3 that I would recommend that you do as a follow-up to the things that we do in this video. And it was just a continued layer of growth. Thanks for watching. Let me know what your thoughts are.